Hi, Jane.
Oh, hello.
Okay, I'll call to order. Yeah. Okay. Welcome to Aurora's Committee of Adjustment meeting. The time is 7:03 p.m. on Thursday, May 11, 2023. I would like to call this Committee of Adjustment meeting to order. Land acknowledgement. The town of Aurora acknowledges that the Anishinaabe lands on which we live and work are the traditional and treaty territory of the Chippewas of Georgina Island, as well as many other nations whose presence here continues to this day. As the closest First Nation community to Aurora, we recognize the special relationship the Chippewas have with the lands and waters of this territory. They are the water protectors and environmental stewards of these lands, and as a municipality, we join them in these responsibilities. We further acknowledge that Aurora is part of the treaty lands of the Mississaugas and Chippewas recognized through Treaty number 13, as well as the Williams Treaties of 1923. A shared understanding of the rich cultural heritage that has existed for centuries and how our collective past brought us to where we are today will help us work together into a better future. I will start by introducing the committee members and staff. I am the committee chair. My name is David Mhango, and the remaining members are as follows. Jane Stevenson, vice chair. I think you need to raise your hand so that people could, the public could see you. Chris Polsineri, Michael Visconti, Julian Young. The Secretary Treasurer is Peter Fan. The planner tonight is Rosanna Punit. This public meeting is being audio and video recorded. It is also being conducted virtually and through the use of Zoom technology. Your name, address, comments, and any other personal information are being recorded according to the Municipal Act and the Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. This will help our town clerk prepare accurate minutes and to create a record that is available to the general public, including on the town's website. Questions about this correction should be directed to the town clerk. Please be advised that the reports being considered tonight are available on the Town of Aurora website and through the town's planning department. Should you wish to receive notification of any of the decisions of tonight's meeting, please complete the appropriate form available through town staff. Applicants and agents will automatically be notified. For each application that will be considered tonight, the following process will occur. I will briefly outline the purpose of the application, and then the applicant or agent will be given the opportunity to make a presentation. However, one is not required. It is the applicant's decision whether they wish to speak or let the application proceed on the merits of the information as received. Presentations and deputations are limited to 5 minutes as much as possible. Following any initial comments from the applicant, I will invite members of the public who have interest in the application to come forward and address the committee. Those members of the public who wish to speak must clearly state their name and address and must provide this information to the Secretary Treasurer. Should you wish to obtain a copy of the notice of decision, please complete the appropriate form available from the Secretary Treasurer. Members of the public are reminded that text comments are not permitted during the meeting, and they will not be connoted in any manner or any time. Each individual may speak only once on an issue, and once the discussion has commenced in respect of the motion, no further presentations shall be made. If you require any technical assistance with your presentation, please let me know. If you wish to speak and are currently following this meeting on the YouTube feed, you will need to turn the feed off and join the live meeting, as there is a slight lag between YouTube and live feed. Please ensure that all questions and/or comments are directed through me as the chair, and if relevant, I will request the appropriate person to respond. It should be noted that the applicant will be given the opportunity to respond to any questions or comments should the committee feel that is appropriate. Tonight's meeting will now commence. The first item is approval of agenda. So I'll ask members for a mover as well as a seconder. Michael. You need to unmute your mic here.
I move that the agenda be approved through you, Mr. Chair.
Any changes or anything?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I propose a motion to reorder MV 2023-14 and C-2023-02, the consent for 53 Cranberry Lane, as the last agenda items.
Okay, so there's that sort of discussion there, proposal. I'll ask the mover, Michael, do you agree with that proposal?
Yeah, I don't have any objection to that.
Okay, so can I ask for a seconder? Julian is seconder. Thank you.
I can second that, yes.
Now let's look at the declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof with the members? So if it's no, you just shake your head. Okay, thank you. Confirmation of past minutes. I would like to have a mover and seconder to confirm the past minutes of meeting. Christopher?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I move to approve the minutes as received from the last meeting.
Any seconder? Jane?
I'll second that motion.
Okay, thank you. I don't know what happened there for me, yeah. Okay, thank you very much. Now we'll start looking at the applications, and as the members agreed, we're going to move 6.4 and 6.5 to the end. So the first application we're going to look at is the minor variance application number MV-2023-15 for ZAU at 71 Grand Steeple Trail. The application. The applicant is requesting relief from the requirements of the town's comprehensive zoning bylaw 6000-17 as amended to facilitate the construction of a detached deck. The following relief is being requested. Section 4.1.1.1 of the zoning bylaw requires a minimum rear yard setback of 1 meter for any accessory structure. The applicant is proposing a detached deck, which is 0.7 meters to the rear property line, thereby requiring a variance of 0.3 meters. Planning comments. With regards to general intent of the official plan, staff are of the opinion that the requested variance is in keeping with the general intent of the official plan and that it will have no negative impacts. With regards to the general intent of the zoning bylaw, staff are satisfied with the reduced rear yard setback of the detached deck, maintains the general intent of the bylaw. With regards to whether the proposed variance is considered desirable for the appropriate development of the land, staff are of the opinion that the requested variance is desirable for the appropriate development of the site. With regards to whether the proposed variance is considered minor or minor in nature or not, staff are of the opinion that the requested variance is minor in nature. Additional comments from the town department and divisions and external agencies from building division, no other non-compliance identified. Then for the remainder of the departments, divisions, and also external agents, no objections. From public correspondence, there are 2 supporting letters. And there's 1 recommended condition of approval. And that's the application. Do we have the applicant or the agent who wants to speak to this application?
Through the chair, I don't have a presentation for this application.
Oh, okay, that's the, okay, how do you pronounce your first name? Is Queen Tan?
Yes, first name is Q, last name Tan.
Okay, Q, yeah, okay, thank you, Q. Okay, so the applicant doesn't have any question. Do we have any public delegates?
Through the chair, there are no public delegates for this application. However, I do ask that the chair request that the applicant state their name and address for the record, please.
Oh, yes, please. Would you state your name and also your address?
My name is Q Tan. My address is 2152 Grosvenor Street at Oakville, L6H5L2. I am the applicant of this application.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we don't have any public delegates. Now I'll turn to the members of the committee. If you have any questions you want to ask the applicant. I see no questions or no comments. Okay, so can I ask
Mr.
a
Chair?
motion?
I have a question to the applicant. I'm just wondering why the deck could not be brought forward to be in compliance with the zoning bylaw. Is there a reason?
So because the rear yard of the property has a slope of about 20 degrees. So the owner wants to utilize the backyard amenity to have a properly sized deck. So yeah, it's a little difference there.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. I don't have any questions, so just see to ask again, any other member with any questions or comments? Okay, I don't see any member having any questions or comments. So to ask for a motion from one of the members. Michael?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I move that the application be approved subject to the conditions. And also I asked that the 2 letters of support for the application be included in the minutes.
You have a seconder? Jane? Motion carried. So motion's carried that this application is approved. Thank you. Thank you, Pugh Tan.
Thank you, Chair and committee members. Have a good night.
Yeah, thank you. So the next application is a minor variance application, MV-2023-10 at 41 Mosley Street. The applicant is requesting relief from the requirements of the town's comprehensive zoning bylaw 6000-17 as amended to regularize an existing converted dwelling and rebuild the front porch with a new additional front entrance. All of the following variances represent legal non-complying setbacks for the existing building or structure and lot, except for variance C, or the third variance, I would say, regarding the additional front entrance, which will be new. The following relief is being requested. The first one, A, section 7.5.5.3 of the zoning bylaw requires a minimum total gross floor area of not less than 300 square meters for converted dwellings. The converted dwelling has a gross floor area of approximately 207 square meters. The second variance, variance B, section 7.5.5.2 of the zoning bylaw requires converted dwellings to comply with the requirements of section 7.2 of the bylaw. The existing lot and structure do not comply with section 7.2 in terms of the following. Lot area 1,110 square meters required, 1,020.7 square meters existing. Lot frontage 22 meters required, 15.6 meters existing. Front yard setback 6 meters required, 2.4 meters existing. Interior side yard setback 2.5 meters required, 0.15 meters existing. The third variance, number C, section 7.5.4.3 of the zoning bylaw does not permit more than one entrance into the front yard, including below grade walkouts. The applicant is proposing a converted dwelling with 2 separate entrances for 2 of the units from the front. Variance D, that's the fourth variance. Section 4.20 of the zoning bylaw requires open porches and steps to be a minimum of 4.5 from the front lot line. The applicant is proposing to rebuild an existing porch with steps 0.8 meters from the front line, from the front lot line to the porch edge. Planning comments. With respect to the general intent of the official plan, staff are of the opinion that the requested variances will have no negative impacts and that the general intent of the official plan is met. With respect to the general intent of the zoning bylaw, staff are of the opinion that the proposed variances are in keeping with the intent of the bylaw. With regards to whether the proposed variance is considered desirable for the appropriate development of the land, staff are of the opinion that the requested variances are desirable for the appropriate development of the land. With regards to whether the proposed variance is considered minor in nature, staff are of the opinion that the requested variances are minor in nature. Additional comments from town department divisions and external agencies. from building division, no other non-compliance identified. From engineering division, operation services, parks, Central Fire, York Region, and Lake Simcoe, no objections. From operations services, public works, no objections, but the applicant will require an approved road occupancy permit from public works, and also to have regard for the existing sanitary sewer manhole that exists on the property during any related construction. Public correspondence, there's one opposition letter from the neighbor at 43 Mosley Street. The staff's report proposes one condition. That's the application. Do we have the applicant here or agent who want to speak to this application?
Yes. Can you hear me?
So would you state your name and address?
Uh, yeah, my name is Frank Rotundo at 66 Raintree Crescent in Richmond Hill. I'll be acting as the agent on behalf of the homeowner.
Okay, you are the agent, okay.
Okay. So just to talk about this application, my client recently purchased the property and is looking to renovate the existing 4 units and to make them code compliant and meet the zoning requirements. We're asking for 4 variances, but 3 of those variances are intended to legalize the existing non-compliant provisions for the lot and for the existing structure itself. One of those 3 variances is in regard to the front porch. We were hoping to rebuild this front porch with the same setbacks as the existing, only because the condition of the porch is a safety concern. As far as the 4th variance is concerned, this is a result of the renovation. And what we're doing is we're requesting to add a second front door to the front facade. We did notice that there are other multi-unit homes on the street that have 2 front doors, so we didn't think it'd be an issue. And with respect to the design of the units itself, these units are fairly small. They're only 400 square feet. So to maximize the design and come up with an efficient layout, I think the best idea is to have the doors on the front, and that way they wouldn't disrupt any of the other 2 units in the back. So that's pretty much it. Overall, I believe that this proposal fits the neighborhood character, and any changes that have really no impact on the neighborhood. That's all I have for my presentation. I think the owner would like to speak on behalf of the opposition letter.
So my name is Michael Tersini. I'm at 127 Regatta Avenue, Richmond Hill. Leaving today, I met with Rick and explained to him that I had an email on my phone regarding some of his questions that he was concerned about with the 2 front doors and the balcony. He had a really tough time there with the people that were previously there. There was a gentleman that was upstairs who his entry door abuts his driveway, and they would constantly slam the door when they were going in and out, and he was running a mechanic shop out of the property. So they had motorcycles and stuff in the back, parts, and it was just a complete disaster back there. And I explained to him that, we spent a lot of money on this house, and we're spending upwards of $500,000 to renovate it, and we have no intention of putting people in that are going to do that type of damage to the house. And barbecues and all that type of stuff would never apply there. It's against fire code, it's against the bylaw, and it's against, insurance and everything. So the porches themselves are very small. All they are is to just get into the unit. Maybe you can put a bicycle on it. That's about it. He just had a really tough time with the people that were there before, alcohol-wise and partying and so forth, which we have no intentions of doing. We have a professional real estate agent licensed that will be renting it for us, qualified people through credit apps, job letters, first and last, referrals, all that stuff. I mean, I'm spending a lot of money, so I have no intention of putting people in to damage the house and cause problems for anybody in the area. And I love the area, Town Square and everything, what's happening there, the revitalization is amazing. That's why we built it and spent more money doing certain things like the deck so that people, it's for the community, right? I mean, it's a great area. Go Station, Yonge Street, Town Square, Town Park. So that's all I have to say. We're just trying to clean up and restore what once was there.
Okay, thank you, Michael. Do we have a public delegation who want to speak or ask questions?
Through you, Mr. Chair, there are no public delegations for this application.
Okay, thank you. So the committee, if you have any questions or comments. Michael?
For you, Mr. Chair. One of the concerns that your neighbor did point out is the parking situation. He in his letter, he says that there's the previous tenants there, and now you're going to have 4 potential tenants there, that they were parking on Mosley Street in front of his property. Are you going to provide on-site parking at the back? I did visit the property. And
Do I speak to that?
yes.
Oh, so absolutely 110%. We don't want people on the street. We have 51 and a half by 200 feet in depth. So parking is not an issue. And the air, if you went there, Michael, where you see everything right now up into the fence, we're going to pave all of that. They'll have proper parking spots identified per unit. And it's all done properly. The project is beautiful. I mean, it's all identified. They're going to have, each unit will have their own parking designated spots and everything. Plenty of room.
The other question, the other issue raised by your neighbor was the upstairs balcony. Are you putting a balcony above the 2 entrances that you're proposing on the front?
We were planning on it, yes. And, I don't want to come off wrong here, but I spoke to him about it today, and his concern was that he's going to see beer bottles rolling off the balcony and looking up women's skirts, was what he said to me. So that's not going to happen. We're going to put a proper railing in. And again, the idea isn't to have parties on top of your balcony and throw beer bottles off the top of it. I mean, if we have people like that, we call the police. It's why we have it. We're going to do everything within our power to put proper people in there. I have a lot of money invested, and I don't want damages either. So.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Any other questions or comments from the members, other members? Okay, I have questions myself. So I also visited the site. I walked around the front, back, and so on. So I have questions. So I see that this is a sort of a renovation or improvement to the property. And I would see that there's a lot of space at the back. And I saw that this is the only property in that street which is really is very close to the sidewalk. And I'm seeing, looking at the design. Basically, this is a design of almost a new house. Did you think about, moving the house a little bit to the back, since there's a lot of space there, lots of space indeed? Did you think about that? And if yes, maybe explain why you still kept it to where it is, very close to the sidewalks, and having all these variances.
So David, I mean, it's built in 1856, I believe. We're renovating, right? So the budget's about $500,000. It's all I can really afford to do. The idea was never to buy the house, tear it down, and move it back and start over. It was always to work with what's existing. You can see the condition of the house. It was not habitable, but people lived in it. right? So when we purchased it, so we're bringing it up to code, fixing it and bringing it back to, a solid product, right? I mean, it doesn't even go with the area. It's stucco, it's gray. So it's not even heritage, which that's a heritage area. So we're actually bringing heritage back to the property, if anything.
Okay.
The building's very expensive, David. So I mean, to build a house now, you're well over $1 million, right? Well over.
Yeah. The other question I have is about the two separate entrances you are proposing at the back. When I look at the design you have, and of course, looking at the space at the back, when you do this proposed design, in my humble opinion, I was seeing that there is that possibility of having the door at the back. Did you explore that? And what is it that really you made it like you should have the entrance in the front, not the back? What is that really constraining that you have to have this variance instead of having entrance from the back, based on the look at the design?
Do you want to take that, Frank, or me?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair. I think the overall design doesn't really work if I put the door in the back. I'm trying to use the existing windows, like I'm trying to use existing, as much as the existing structure as I can without disrupting too much, right? So to put it in the back, it doesn't work. There's a floor height difference as well, right? Like I'm like 4 or 5 steps to get to that first floor. Whereas in the back, I don't really have room to create those steps to, like, how do I get to that floor level? You know what I'm saying? There's a difference in floor heights. So that was an issue as well. I think that
Yeah,
was the
so-
biggest concern.
Yeah, so you're talking about putting steps, you're putting steps, how many steps, or let's say standard steps you have to construct?
Yeah.
If you think the constraint was the steps or the height, how many steps?
Well, I have like 4 steps in the front. In the back, I think we have like another, 3 steps I would need to get to the first floor. And it doesn't really work in my design and my floor, my stair enclosure. There's all kinds of issues after, right? Safety concerns as well. I think it's a nice feature to have the door in the front. I think that's a nice selling feature.
Mr. Chair, the curb appeal too, it's much nicer of a design even to look at. It'll have a beautiful partition between the 2 units. And we have, I did a square drive around myself in the square block, and there's about 2 or 3 houses that I sent to Peter that have 2 doors as well. So it's existing even there in the general.
Yeah, so,
square
yeah,
block.
so the other comment here, which you need to recognize is that I would say most of even the one which is close to your property, just on the north side of the mausoleum on the corner there, is actually two addresses. It's a semi-detached. It's true, yes, it looks like one house, one building with the 2 doors, but those are 2 addresses. In your case, it's one address. It's a single house, and you're having 2 doors. That's the main difference. So anyway, those are my comments. And the other thing which I have is something which I will maybe ask staff. If this application is approved, I'm just wondering if you could add 2 more conditions. And these 2 more conditions are actually coming from the comments from Operational Services Public Works. One is something to do with the road occupancy permit, which is required. So if it's required, I was thinking of if this is going to be approved, whoever is going to make a motion to indicate adding 2 conditions. The first condition will read that the applicant is required or is required to obtain an approved road occupancy permit from Public Works. The second one, which deals with about the sanitary sewer, definitely don't want that to be damaged, to be impacted. The condition will be the owner shall have regard for the existing sanitary sewer manhole that exists on the property during any related construction. So those are the two conditions which I would ask that maybe could be added. Yes, Michael? You are muted.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I'd like to add another condition. And
Okay.
I'm at, through the chair. The condition would be that the owner provide designated on-site parking for each tenant. They've said that that's what they're gonna do, so I don't think I think it makes sense to put that as a condition as well, if town staff are prepared to do that. And without, if the owner has no objection to that, I think I can support the application with
Through the
those.
chair.
So let's have the planning staff answer. So basically, the answers from you, Rosanna, will be one for me introducing those two conditions, because that's what in the way it is worded there is like something which has to be provided. And I know the developer, the applicant should provide those and basically even safeguard the manhole because it cannot be damaged. Then the second one will be by the member about this designated parking. So if you could comment on those, Rosanna, thanks.
Yep. Through the chair. To Michael, with respect to parking, it will be reviewed as part of the permit process. I'd rather not put that condition at the moment because if they need to comply, they need to comply with whatever. So depending on what uses go in, they have different parking. I'm just trying to check here the parking. So depending on what use they decide to put in, they do need to have parking, sufficient parking. And looking at the lot, they would need to get that confirmed through the building permit process. With respect to the road occupancy permit, that's an automatic requirement with your building permit. Having it as a condition is fine too. They do have to apply for a permit. They have to apply for ROP at the same time. So I have no problem with the ROP being added if subject to the owner being okay with that as well.
Yes.
What about the other one? The other one is the owner to shall have regard for the existing sanitary sewer manhole that exists on the property during any related construction.
So that, through the chair, that is related to the road occupancy permit. It does have details, it does have contingency. The same with that road occupancy permit. It's like a little agreement that they do sign with the town saying they're going to do this and they do get their security back and we do check it, we inspect it, make sure everything is back to town standard should anything happen to that manhole.
Okay. So basically you're making it to be one condition, just one condition. Okay, so the
And it would,
condition
through the chair, cover everything.
okay, so the condition to be reading that the owner shall be required to is required to obtain an approval road occupancy permit from WEX and to have a regard for the existing sanitary sewer manhole that exists on the property during any related construction as one condition. Okay. Is that what is it that's what you're saying or it's not the case? I'm seeing
Through
you.
the chair, it would be easy just to put it as a road occupancy permit is required and anything that goes in with that, because there could be
Okay.
more than just that. And I don't know all the,
Okay.
obviously operations did indicate just that, but there could be curbs. There's other issues too in that
Yeah,
road
okay.
occupancy.
Okay.
permit
Okay.
that it
So just to summarize then.
encompasses. I say
just-
keep it simple and we cover it.
Okay, so to make it clear again, just to repeat, to make sure everybody on the same page, it will read the owner shall be required to obtain an approved road occupancy permit from Public Works and full stop.
I wouldn't say approved, that they obtain a road occupancy permit because it's required through the chair, sorry. It's required no matter what with the building permit process. So I don't know the order, but I'd rather you
The
can
way
simply
the way
state that.
The word in the staff report says approved. That's why I'm trying to use that word. It's in the staff report said approved the road occupancy permit. That's why I'm just trying to read it. But yeah, you can, okay, you understand what you mean. We can
Yep.
remove the
Sure.
word approved. No problem.
Mr. Chair, can I
Yes,
interject for 1
Michael.
second? We
Yeah,
have
Michael.
one, so we already have that.
Oh.
The permit, road occupancy permit, we have that. So
Okay,
it
you,
covers everything, sidewalks, curbs and everything, right? We filled it all out, I paid for it and everything.
okay, what's the expiry date of the road occupancy permit you have, Michael?
I don't know
wanna-
that it ever does, sir. I think that, that once we're done, we have to have it inspected and then they come back and if everything is undamaged, then I get my deposit back. But until then, they hold the money.
Okay, so Rosanna, you are not able to, or Peter, you are not able to confirm that the applicant has the road occupancy permit. Or are you able to confirm that? Because we don't have, for us, we are dealing with what we have in front of us. For us, you see, we are
Yeah.
looking at the staff report. They are requesting this. That's why we're making it, come to fruition. So, and this staff, they're saying they confirm, they know for sure that you have, but ourselves, we can still put the condition there. If
Yeah, you
it
can put
will
it-
be a matter of a check mark if you already have it. It will not have any
Yeah.
match, you know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So
100%.
who would put this condition?
Yeah.
Michael Visconti.
Through you, Mr. Chair, upon my visit to the site, I noticed there is a permit in the window there or on the building. Is that a renovation permit? It's or a building permit? Because Rosanna alluded to in the building permit process that we can request sufficient parking.
Do I answer that?
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, so yes, that is a building permit and the parking has been identified, Michael. I was going to mention that to you. It's already been identified. So I'm not sure why he brought that up, frankly, but in order for us to get a permit, we had to identify parking. So your condition, it's already been satisfied, but you guys can put it on there. It's just check the box like David says so.
Yeah, I'd feel more comfortable with that because
Yeah.
that's my point of view.
Absolutely. No problem.
And if you're not, don't object to it, I'd like to put that condition in.
Sure.
I don't know what the other committee.
So the planning staff, we'll keep on hearing from the owner that the parking seems to have been addressed. But are you able to confirm that, or whether it's Peter or Rosanna?
Through the chair,
Yeah.
in looking at the minor variance application and their PZR preliminary zoning review, no parking deficiency was identified as part of the review of this application, the minor variance. Oh,
Okay, so, but do you understand the comment from the committee member?
correct. I
Yeah,
understand the
There's a
concern.
concern about parking, and this was raised also by the other owner. And I would say when I was on the site, there was a vehicle which parked in front of your house. Was actually the vehicle belonging to the other occupant on the left side, on the west side, because I know he was coming from there and he went to the house there. But I see that you have got a shed, sort of a parking garage at the back there. Is it that a parking garage?
So it used to be, it's not today, it's just for storage. But if you guys have all visited the property, there's enough room to park 15 cars there. So to me, I don't want people on the road anyways. I want them in identified spots, period. It's going to happen. Michael put it in there. And again, the ROP put it in there. It's check the box. We already got it, guys. So it's going to happen. It's not an issue.
Okay.
We're
So
doing
anyway, so we
doing a
are seeing
professional
it.
job.
we're seeing the willing owner. So again, it depends on the motion we're going to have. So I would conclude there with comments from the planning staff that we're going to have two conditions. One is about the road occupancy permit, and the other one to have a designated parking space. Julian, you have a comment or questions?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair. So from my understanding of the discussion that just happened, planning staff indicated that the condition for the operational services is not necessary because it's automatic. The other condition for parking is outside of our jurisdiction to decide anyways. So my recommendation would be to not add those conditions and go with what the planning staff have in the original report.
Okay. Yeah, I know the planning staff mentioned about the parking that would be addressed, and also road occupancy. That is something. Any comment from? Okay, maybe Michael not now. Let's see, get here from Christopher. Any comment, Christopher?
No questions or comments. Thank you.
Jane, I'm not seeing Jane anymore. Jane, are you there? Yeah, I'm not seeing any Jane anymore, but anyway, we have a quorum. Anyway, Michael Visconti, you have something also to say?
You know, in visiting the property and the neighborhood, I like the concept. I'm supportive of it. I think that it'll benefit the neighborhood. But I do recognize that that area becomes very busy with the town park nearby. Also, you have the you know, in the summertime, you have all kinds of things going on at the town park nearby, which is great. And parking may become an issue. So that's why I'm trying to put that condition in without objection, obviously, from the owner or the designer of the project. So I don't think it causes any harm. So that's my opinion. Other members may have different opinion, but that's all I'm trying to say is that I think that the committee has a responsibility to make sure that the community is properly, you know, that a community member has properly identified an issue and that we address it as a committee. And that's all I'm saying, just to be careful.
Okay. So I'll conclude this way that if the variances, okay, another point which we're going to look at is I'm going to ask whether we look at each variance, or maybe we look at each one of them, or we look at them as the whole. And if you see the approved, the whole file is approved, I think since the owner is saying we can still put it there, it doesn't matter, or maybe a checkbox. And also since the planner staff, they're saying, yeah, maybe there's no need. And also hearing from one member, Julian is saying maybe there's no need of putting in. And Michael saying, no, we should put in the parking one. For me, I'm talking about the road occupancy permit. But at the end of the day, if it says approved, as the applicant is agreeing to it, it's just a checkbox. So basically, it doesn't matter much. So I would encourage that if there's a motion of approval, then we should mention that we should have these two conditions in there. So I'll ask now to the committee if you would have a motion for this application. Michael?
Mr. Chair, I move that the application be approved and the variances be approved with the two conditions as you mentioned, one being the parking and the other one being the sewer and what you just said before. So I'll move approval of the applications as recommended by the planning staff with those two conditions. And also I'd like to see the letter included in the minutes from the neighbor.
Okay. So basically the conditions in total will be 3, the one which is already in staff report
Yes,
and the 2 additional ones. Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Okay. Do we have a seconder? Okay, Christopher, all in favor? The motion is carried and it's approved. So, yeah, so the motion, I'm in the application with all these 4 variances have been approved. Thank you very much, Michael
Thank
and
you.
Frank.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you. Good night.
Have a nice night.
So the next application is minor variance MV-2023-20 at 38 Holman Crescent. The application, the applicant is requesting relief from the requirements of the town's comprehensive zoning bylaw 6000-17 as amended to recognize a detached garage that was constructed without obtaining a building permit. The following relief is being requested. The first variance. Section 7.2 of the zoning bylaw requires a minimum side yard setback of 1.2 meters. The applicant is proposing a detached garage which is 0.9 meters to the side property line, thereby requiring a variance of 0.3 meters. The second variance, section 24.497.8 of the zoning bylaw allows a maximum gross floor area of 40 square meters for an accessory detached structure. The applicant is proposing a detached garage with a gross floor area of 52.6 square meters, thereby requiring a variance of 12.6 square meters. Planning comments. With respect to the general intent of the official plan, staff are of the opinion that the requested variances are in keeping with the general intent of the official plan. With respect to the general intent of the zoning bylaw, the applicants are of the opinion that the requested variances are in keeping with the intent of the zoning bylaw. With regards to whether the proposed variance is considered desirable for the appropriate development of the land, staff are of the opinion that the requested variances are desirable for the appropriate development of the land. With regards to whether the proposed variance is considered minor in nature, staff are of the opinion that the requested variances are minor in nature. Additional comments from town departments and external agencies, building division, no other non-compliance identified. No objections from engineering division, operational safe parks, Central York Services, Rexingo Conservation, and York Region. From operational safe parks, Public Works, no objection, but they are saying that the owner is required to obtain an approved road occupancy permit from the town of Aurora Operations Department for any works. Public correspondence, written submissions were not received at the time of writing this report. There's one condition recommended in the staff's report. Do we have the applicant or agent who wants to speak to this application?
Committee, good evening. Stephen Mutzi, live at 38 Holman Crest in Aurora.
Okay, so that's in Nadia and Steve.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, yeah, okay. So do you want to speak to your application? Do you have anything to comment or say or present?
No.
No.
Yeah, okay. Do we have any public delegation?
Through you, Mr. Chair, there are no public delegations for this application.
Okay, thank you. Now this is open to the committee members. Do you have any questions, comments on this application? Michael. Welcome back, Jane.
Oh, I apologize. I had internet troubles.
Yeah, no problem. Welcome back. Thank you. So, Michael, you can continue.
Through you, Mr. Chair, just have a question for the owners. Is there a reason why you didn't initially take out a building permit for the garage?
So originally we were told, we're misled that we had an existing detached garage that we didn't need to file for a permit. So that's basically what happened. So the project happened during COVID. And yeah, just talking, our street was curbside and so a ditch, and they added curbs. So talking to the city, we were just informed that if you have a garage, you're allowed to, since it was corroded and collapsing on itself, that we're allowed to, if you have it, you're allowed to build it without a permit if you already have a permit for a garage, detached garage on that property.
So to be specific, the old garage was demolished
Correct.
and a new one built.
Yeah.
And you're saying town staff didn't alert you to the fact that you needed a building permit?
It was multiple cases because during COVID, taking on a lot of projects, we had like family and friends, business slow, that are helping us build the garage. It came to a fact where it wasn't no point of saving that garage. It was too badly damaged. That I should just rebuild it, and just talking to multiple people. And also, yeah, even with the city folks, just basically if you have a permit already established, there's a detached on the property, you're allowed to fix it or, maintain it or rebuild it, whatever the case. If you have it, you're basically paying tax for that garage. You're allowed to have a garage in the same position, the same area.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's my question. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael. Any questions or comments from other members of the committee? I see nobody having any comments. I have only one comment, and again, it will be, I'll ask the town staff, if this application is going to be approved, I'll be requesting that you add one condition, which is actually also is similar to the previous one, and operational services, that the owner shall obtain a road occupancy permit from the town of Aurora Operations Department for any works.
Through you, Mr. Chair. But just to clarify, this is already built, right? The construction's done, or did I miss
Correct.
something?
Yeah.
Yes.
But without obtaining a building permit.
Yes, correct. But it's complete. Like there's no further traversing on the road. Like this is done.
Yeah, no, and there never was. We never occupied the road. Everything was done on our property because we have a very large driveway, so nothing ever occupied the road.
Mhm.
So through you,
So
Mr. Chair.
the reasoning I'm putting this forward, not necessarily of what the operations services have asked. I know they have got a good reason, and I also have a good reason that we don't know what may happen there. So if they say it's not required, it's also the same thing to be just be a check mark. but it's better to have belts and suspenders to make sure everything, the town is protected, and make sure things are done properly. Michael?
Through you, Mr. Chair, this is more a question for staff. If the process was followed and a building permit was issued, would a building inspector then go view the project and approve it to code, making sure that building code requirements were done? And in this case, could the town have an inspector go out and make sure that it was built to code and that, you know, there's no liability on behalf of the town? Could a condition be put in as subject to the approval?
Through the chair, a building permit is still required. You're getting the variance even though it's already built. We need to make sure it's inspected to code and all those things. So a building permit is still required.
So then can a condition be put in saying subject to a building permit being issued? In other words, you know, we'll approve it, but then the building permit process has to be followed through.
Through the chair, we can put a condition relating to that the owner be aware they need to apply for a building permit. That way, our secretary treasurer can clear the condition saying that they've applied for a permit, and then they'll go through the building permit process, and an inspector will go out, check, make sure all the proper structural, all that code is, everything is to code.
Now, my question to the applicant, were you aware that you still require a building permit?
No, we were just told that we needed the minor variance application.
So this is news to you now that planning is saying you need a permit, right?
Yes.
Are you okay with that? That you apply for a permit, building permit?
Yes, if that's what it takes, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
So any other comments or questions from other members of the committee? Jane?
No.
Christopher?
This is for Holman Crescent, I'm assuming, is it? Holman Crescent?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay.
Christopher?
No further questions. Thank you.
Julian?
I have one question through you, Mr. Chair. So with respect to the Public Works recommendation for the planning staff, is that still required?
Through you, Mr. Chair, in my humble opinion, no. Seeing that the work is already needs to be recognized through our boulevard curb or any that would be identified at the building permit stage, but it's already built. In my opinion, I don't believe so.
Thank you. That's all my questions.
So with that, I would also see a different opinion from different perspective, but I can see that with this minor variance, they will still be required to apply for building permit. And I'm thinking the building permit will cover the worries I had. So if this application is approved, I would agree with the proposal from Michael Visconti, which he also planning staff agreed that he maybe would say that the owner shall be required to obtain a building permit. As added. So whatever motion, if motion is for approval, just remember to include this. And also there's already another condition in the staff's report. So I'm hoping no further discussions. So I'll ask for a motion from one of the members. Darcy, Julian, raising your upper hand?
I did raise my hand, yes, through you, Mr.
Okay,
Chair. I'll move to approve application MV 2723-10 with the conditions listed in Appendix A and the additional condition proposed by Michael Visconti that the building owners be made aware of the requirement to apply for a building permit.
Okay, so before I ask for a second, actually just to Julian, it's actually 10, it's actually 20, it's not 10, you see, 2023-20.
My apologies.
Yeah, no problem.
MV 2023-20.
Yeah, can I have a seconder for that motion? Jane, the seconding that. All in favor? Motion? Motion is carried. So Nadia and Stephen, your application has been approved with those conditions as indicated.
Yes,
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
you as well. Take care.
Thank you.
Could I ask you, Mr. Chair, since I missed the one on Mosley Street, how was that? What was the motion on that?
So that one was approved. And we asked the two additional conditions. One condition was to obtain a road occupancy permit. The other one was a road occupancy permit and being to recognize the existence of a sanitary sewer manhole on site, so that they're careful when constructing. And the other condition was to have designated parking. So the applicant agreed to that, and also the staff. Basically, the applicant was saying that I think they already have the road occupancy permit, and all the parking issues. They think they have already resolved, so it will be like a check mark. But the committee wanted just to make sure that the conditions are there and those matters they will be addressed.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So the next application is we're going to look at is minor variance. It's actually 14 Corbett Drive. Just for the sake of Jane, the ones for 53 Cranberry Lane, the consent and minor variances, those will be held at the end.
Yes.
There was that motion when you're looking at the agenda. So I just wanted to explain so that we were all on the same page. So the one we're looking at now is minor variance MV-23-16. Just for members also, there was just a minor typo on the staff's report. You see -14, but this is -16. It's important to write down to make sure you know this, because when you are making a motion, you need to state the correct number. So it's -16, not -14. So minor variance -23-16 at 14 Corbett Drive. The application. The applicant is requesting relief from the requirements of the town's comprehensive zoning bylaw 6000-17 as amended to facilitate a second-story addition. A conceptual site plan and elevations are attached as Appendix B to this report. The following relief is being requested. Section 24.497.3.2 of the zoning bylaw requires a minimum interior yard setback of 3 meters beyond the main rear wall of the adjacent dwelling. The applicant is proposing a second-story addition, which is 1.9 meters to the interior property line, thereby requiring a variance of 1.1 meters. Planning comments. With respect to the general intent or the purpose of the official plan, staff are of the opinion that the requested variance meets the general intent and purpose of the official plan. With regards to general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw, staff is satisfied that the proposed variance has met the intent and purposes of the zoning bylaw. With regards to whether the proposed variance is considered desirable for the appropriate development of the land, staff are of the opinion that the variance is desirable for the appropriate development of the land. With regards to whether the proposed variance is considered minor in nature, staff are of the opinion that the proposed variance is minor in nature. Additional comments from town departments or divisions and external agencies. Building a division, no other compliance identified. Some town departments and the external agencies, no objection. No comments from Central Fire and operations. They just indicated that a condition has been included to have trees protected during construction. Public correspondence, there are 3 supporting letters. And there are 2 recommended conditions of approval from the staff. That's the application. Do we have the applicant or agent who want to speak to this application? Peter?
Sorry, through you, Mr. Chair. Sorry, give me 1 second.
Do we have any, do we have the
Yes.
applicant or agent who want to speak to this application?
Through you, Mr. Chair, they are. Sorry, my apologies.
Hello.
Okay, so you are the
Yes.
you are the applicant or agent?
I am the applicant, Mr. Chair. Good evening.
Okay, so do you state your name and address?
My name is Amir Sobi. Through you, Mr. Chair, Amir Sobi, and I have here my wife who's blurred out, and she's trying to figure out how to unblur that here. My wife is an osteopath here in Aurora as well. So I wanted her to also be there present, but I kept on filter.
So do you want to do you have a presentation to make or want to speak up about your application?
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes, we do have put together a PowerPoint that Peter will have to share his screen, and then I will just tell him to go to the next slide to drive it, basically.
Okay, so I just want to remind you that you have a maximum 5 minutes to make your presentation. So it's a hard stop, 5 minutes.
Understood, Mr. Chair. So with that said, we can begin shortly. I saw that the other applications were short as well. So just an introduction, my name is Amir Sobi. We have moved here around 2018, and our proposal that we're setting forth in front of you is to add a second story on top of the existing frame and the structure, nothing to be changed. In terms of expanding laterally, we are not any excavation. We're not doing any excavations. We're not going to damage any trees. We're not going to change any grading. It's literally going on top of the existing structure. And the main purpose of that is to allow for our family growing. As you saw in the family in the proposal, this house, so I'm not sure the picture here is doing it justice, it's pretty tiny, and it doesn't allow for a family to live in it. However, we are in love with the neighborhood. As you saw, we have reference letters from the neighbors because the neighbors are our family. We purchased the house after visiting the neighbors. When we came to have the first showing, we saw the neighbors first. And the neighbors adjacent to us, downstream of them, upstream of them, and even behind us and on the Murray side, they're our friends. We hang around with them, we party with them. So we want to stay and set roots and be here for a good period of time, if not ever, God willing. So with that said, that is our goal. But unfortunately, the house is aged and not only is small, but it's aged and it is in need of renovation. So when we set forth the plan here initially with Rosanna and the town, our goal was to literally go up and it be a very simple application set forth in front of town and be done with it by now. But we found that we have this minor variance to apply for. So this is what we're going to present to you quickly. Peter, if you don't mind, if you can just go to the next slide. Thank you. So just a quick summary. We are not going to change anything. We're not going to damage any property, and you already know that. You stated it, so I'll go past this. Could you go to the second slide? And everything passed. Now, finally, the slide 4. Sorry, slides 4. Yeah, there we go. So this is the issue at hand that we're dealing with here. It's a little bit hard to visualize, but essentially the rear side of the building, this is the backyard. I think some of the committee members have seen it because I was here when they visited. I actually showed them in person. Others may not have seen it if they just pass by. But essentially, I drew a line there from the adjacent building. What it would mean is that on the second story where we're adding, we have to make a notch, which surpasses common sense for as you can see. But also, if you go to the next slide there, Peter, what it would mean is that we will have some sort of indentation of that nature, not to scale, that would not only collect weathering and it will probably rot and leak into the house, but also if you can imagine something underneath, it can't just sit in the air. Something underneath has to support it, but also the roof will no longer be able to support, like nothing is going to be there to hold the roof. So
I just want to warn you, you have 2 minutes left.
no, this is the last slide. So with that said, I mean, we will not be able to entertain any of the actual building because we cannot actually go on top of what could support the roof, which is the actual walls. So the literal interpretation of the clause you mentioned in the beginning there, David, would mean something of that sort, which is against the common sense. Also, the house is very small, and you add together all the supporting frames that you would require internally to make this happen, which would mean not only the sister studs and everything else, you basically subtract enough surface area that makes the whole project nonsense. So this is what we're putting in front of you and hoping to have your approval for the adjustment. Thank you.
Thank you, Emil. And you, of course, you are on time in presentation. Do we have any public delegation?
No.
Through you, Mr. Chair, there are no public delegations at this time.
Okay. So this is now open to members of the committee. If you have any questions to ask or comments, just raise up your hand and then Michael.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I noticed on the application that you have attic space. And that gives to actually the height of the building. So I guess part of my question will be to planning staff. Does the zoning bylaw permit that height? And what of the attic space? Is that going to be finished in the future or is that unfinished?
To you, Mr. Chair, if I could answer. Is it to staff or to me to answer?
Well, I guess planning staff will have to ask the question if it meets zoning, the actual height, the peaked roof.
Through the chair. Yep, through the chair, the height is being complied with respect to the zoning.
Thank you. And the attic space through the owner, is that finished or unfinished?
Most likely, I mean, if you look, I'm not sure which, in that same PowerPoint Peter had, and there's an appendix with all the pictures. It is not a type of attic that you could stand. I'm 6'3", I would not be able to stand in it if that's what you're saying, but it might become some sort of storage in the future, but not in the short term. It will You're keeping the minimal cost of this. The reason we're going on top of the existing structure, not expanding, excavating, is due to budget. So finishing an attic space is a project of itself, and it is not going to be done in the short term as well. But it's not going to be, even if it is finished, it cannot entertain like an extra floor. And even at that, as Rosanna mentioned, all of those, we have gone with the town and make sure that we stay within every single law and got a check mark already.
Thank you for that.
Any other questions or comments from members? Julian?
Yeah, I don't have a question. I just have a comment. Thank you for the presentation. That was very illustrative. And I see that you fixed your filter issue.
Yes, yes. Thanks, Julian. And through you, Mr. Chair, sorry. Thank you. And thanks everybody who actually helped us from the town, as well.
Christopher?
Through you, Mr. Chair, echoing Julian's comments to the applicants, great presentation, very professional and relevant, and included all the details that I needed to make a decision. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Jane? No comments, okay. For me, I don't have any comments. The only thing I would request is if this application is going to be approved, that the second condition should read that the owner shall be required to provide. So you need to put a shall there. So that's the only thing which I would ask for the condition, second condition to put shall. The owner shall be required to provide. Or you could say the owner shall provide, whichever you mention. So with this, I'll ask for a motion from one of the members. Christopher?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I put forward a motion to approve MV 2023-16, subject to the conditions outlined in the application, as well as the conditions that you've just mentioned.
Yeah, it's the same conditions there. The only thing is the second condition I'm just asking for shall. So any seconder for the motion? Julian? All in favor of the motion? The motion is carried.
Thank you.
So Amil and the is it the Nazanin? Yeah, so your application has been approved.
Thank you very much.
And thank you. And good night.
Thank you very much. Likewise. Bye.
So the next application is a minor variance application MV-2023-17 at 60 Friary Street. The application, the owner is requesting relief from the requirements of the town's comprehensive zoning bylaw 6000-17 as amended to facilitate the construction of a new single detached dwelling. The following relief is being requested. Section 7.2 of the zoning bylaw requires a minimum interior side yard setback of 1.5 meters. The applicant is proposing a detached dwelling, which is 1.2 meters to the interior side property line, thereby requiring a variance of 0.2 meters. Planning comments. With respect to the general intent of the official plan, staff are of the opinion that the requested variance will have no negative impacts and that the general intent of the official plan is met. With respect to the meeting the general intent of the zoning bylaw, staff are of the opinion that the requested variance meets the general intent of the zoning bylaw. With regards to whether the proposed variance is considered desirable for the appropriate development of the land, staff are of the opinion that the requested variance is desirable for the appropriate development of the lands. With respect to whether the proposed variance is considered minor in nature, the staff are of the opinion that the requested variance is minor in nature. Additional comments from town departments, divisions, and the external agencies. Building department, no other non-compliance identified. No objections from engineering division, operation services, Central Fire, York Region, Lake Simcoe Conservation Authority. Also, no objections from operation services. However, the operation services indicate that the applicant will require an approved load occupancy permit, and a site plan, site saves plan will need to be submitted for review if the applicant wishes to install new service connections for water, sanitary, and storm. And also the appropriate fees will apply. That's the application. So do we have the applicant or applicant's agent who wants to speak to this application? Actually, I forgot to say something. Sorry about that. For public correspondence, there are three opposition letters. Basically, two are from the same address, and there are two conditions. Thank you. So do we have an applicant or agent who wants to speak to this application?
Yes.
So if you would state your name and address, please. Thank you.
Yes, my name is Matthew Kinsella from Kinsella Custom Homes. I'm representing the homeowners, the Penays of 60 Fleury Street, as their agent. I was a member of the Aurora Heritage Advisory Committee from 2018 to 2022. So I'm familiar with a lot of the building processes in the area. And I've helped them walk through this process in terms of their application and the design of this home. And we think that this application does meet with the intent of the official plan, as well as that the variance that we're requesting is minor in nature. And I don't think it sets any undue precedence in the neighborhood. So if you have any questions, just let me know.
So thank you very much, Matt. Do we have any public delegation?
Through you, Mr. Chair, there are no public delegations for this application.
Okay, thank you. So ask the members of committee if they have any questions or comments on this application.
Nobody?
I'm seeing no hand. So no comments. For me, I don't have any comments apart from basically recognizing what is in the comments by operation services. So just to conform to what we have done before other applications or similar comments, I would ask that one condition should be added, which you state that the applicant will be required to obtain a road occupancy permit, and also to sort of a reminder that the site servicing plan will be needed, and they'll also be required to pay fees. So it's something which probably would be just a ticking a box, but I just want to have consistency that we are also including this as a condition in this application. And also for the second condition, which is in the staff's report, I just want to, if it's okay to add shall. So it should read that the owner shall provide tree protection fence. So in total, there'll be 3 conditions. So if these applications are approved, you could add those three conditions: 2 which are already in the report, staff's report, and the one which I'm asking just to the owner to provide to obtain a road occupancy permit, and also that will be required to submit a site plan report plan, as well as the required fees. Any discussion? No. Okay. So I'll ask for or just say for the applicant. So do you understand what I was asking there?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I just want clarification on the site plan report. I understand the road occupancy permit as well as the tree protection zone. Site plan report on a new construction home in this area, what does that entail?
No, so it's not a site plan report. So the operational services is saying that we require a site servicing plan. So basically, it's a plan, it's a drawing, which will show the servicing, like where you connect and so on. And in this case, if let's say you're going to have a new service conditions, let's say for water, for sanitary, for storm, the site servicing plan is going to show where basically you're going to connect, and that will help you and any you contractor to use that plan to actually construct those connections.
Understood. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
No problem. So I'll request a motion from one of the members. Julian.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I'll move to accept application MV-2023-17, subject to the conditions listed at Appendix A and those conditions that you have just added.
Okay, do we have a seconder for the motion? Christopher, all in favor of the motion? Motion carried. So, Mr. Kinsera, your application has been approved, and thank you. Wishing you a good night.
Thank you very much, committee. Have a good evening.
Thank you. So the next application is a minor variance application MV-2023-19 at 151 Dowlish Avenue. The application. The applicant is requesting relief from the requirements of the town's comprehensive zoning bylaw 6000-17 as amended to permit a garage extension with a gross floor area of 5.49 square meters. A conceptual site plan and elevations are attached as the Appendix B in the report, in staff's report. The following relief is being requested. Section 24.3.31.1.2 of the zoning bylaw requires a minimum front yard setback of 6 meters. The applicant is proposing a garage extension, which is 5.1 meters to the front property line, thereby requiring a variance of 0.9 meters. Planning comments. With regards to the, with respect to the general intent of the official plan, staff are of the opinion that the proposed variance meets the general intent of the official plan. With respect to the general intent of the zoning bylaw, staff are of the opinion that the requested variance is in keeping with the intent of the zoning bylaw. With regards to whether the proposed variance is considered desirable for the appropriate development of the land, staff are of the opinion that the proposed variance is considered desirable for the appropriate development of the lands. With respect to whether the proposed variance is considered minor in nature, staff are of the opinion that the requested variance is minor in nature. Additional comments from town's departments and external agencies, building division, no other compliance identified. And no objections for all the departments and the external agencies. For public correspondence, written submissions were not received at the time of writing the report. There are 2 recommended conditions for approval in this application. Now, do we have the applicant or applicant's agent to speak to this application?
Yes,
So if you are applicant or agent, so you mention your name as well as the your address.
Yes, hi. My name is Enyo Lisi, and I live at 151 Dawlish Avenue.
So you are the applicant or owner?
I am the owner applicant. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I just want to confirm.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, this is recorded, so we just have to make sure. Yeah. Thank you very much, sir.
I have my son-in-law Andrew with me as well.
Yeah. Okay. So do you have a presentation to make, or do you want or to provide any comments?
You know what?
The presentation has to be maximum 5 minutes if you have one.
Not a problem. So I think what we'll do is we'll just speak to the application. So just to look at the application from 30,000 feet, it's very simple. We're adding we would like to add roughly 3 feet of depth to the garage to accommodate a pickup truck. The reason for the application is that the original pickup truck was stolen, and we have caught 3 additional attempts to steal the replacement truck on camera. That being said as well, I think it's important for the committee to know that there has been 5 other trucks on Dawlish Avenue that have been stolen. And obviously we don't have access to their cameras to see if there was additional attempts there. Some points I want the committee to consider. This is not, the purpose of the application is not a luxury. There is no financial gain. It's at this point a necessity. Also that Enyo has lived at the address for 9 years with no requirement to do this. This has come to fruition because of the situation with the trucks being stolen. And lastly, the addition will still allow 2 full-size vehicles on the driveway. They'll be fully accommodated with no exposure to the street.
Okay, thank you very much. We really appreciate for your presentation. Do we have any public delegation? Peter?
Mr. Chair, there are no public delegations for this application.
Okay, thank you, Peter. The committee, any comments, questions about this application? So I will assume no comments or questions from the members. For me, I don't have any questions, but just see if this application is going to be approved. I want to suggest for second condition to actually include a shall, so that it reads that the owner shall provide tree protection, fencing, and the rest the same, just to make sure that he knows this needs to be done. The thing is, we've had cases in the some past cases where I said, "Oh, I don't think I was required to do this." So just to make sure this is something you have to do. So with that, any other comments or anything from the committee members? Okay, I can see nobody saying anything. So I would ask for a motion from the members of the committee. Michael.
Through you, Mr. Chair. First of all, to the applicant, sorry your neighborhood's undergoing all these problems with stealing of vehicles. It's a problem throughout the town. But I definitely empathize with your situation and for you to have to go through this expense. But I move that application MV 2023-19 be approved, subject to conditions as mentioned through the chair.
Do you have a seconder? Christopher. All in favor of the motion? The motion is carried. So, gentlemen, thank you very much for waiting all this time. Your application has been approved.
Thank you,
And wishing
committee.
you a good night.
Thank you.
You as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. The second application is a minor variance number MV-2023-18 at 135 Aurora Heights Drive. The applicant is requesting relief from the requirements of the town's comprehensive zoning bylaw 6000-17 as amended to permit a garage extension with a gross floor area of 12.5 square meters. The following relief is being requested. Section 7.2 of the zoning bylaw requires a minimum front yard setback of 6 meters. The applicant is proposing a garage extension which is 4 meters to the front property line, thereby requiring a variance of 2 meters. Planning comments. With respect to the general intent of the official plan, staff are of the opinion that the proposed variance meets the general intent of the official plan. With respect to the general intent of the zoning bylaw, staff are of the opinion that the requested variance is in keeping with the intent of the zoning bylaw. With regards to whether the proposed variance is considered desirable for the appropriate development of the land, staff are of the opinion that the proposed variance is considered desirable for the appropriate development of the lands. With respect to whether the proposed variance is considered minor in nature, staff are of the opinion that the requested variance is minor in nature. Additional comments from Town's Department divisions and external agencies, building division, no other non-compliance identified. The rest of the departments and external agencies, no objection or no comments. There's one support letter and one opposition letter. There are two conditions of approval recommended in staff's report. That's the application. Do we have an applicant or agent who wants to make a presentation or speak to this file? I can see Mr. Greg. How do you pronounce your last name?
Sabo.
Sabo. So Greg Sabo, the owner, is here. So if you're making a presentation, just know that you cannot go more than 5 minutes. Thank you, sir. The floor is yours.
Through the chair, thank you very much. I only have a few comments, especially to address the letter of opposition. Our reasoning is slightly different. Fortunately, our car has never been stolen, but it's a very similar application than the previous one. To address the letter of opposition, I want to establish a little context. We plan to live in this property for the next 20+ years with our family. We rented throughout Aurora before, and this is our first home. One of the things that our family built throughout the years is that we wanted to always keep a clean yard, and the cleanest yard is if the car is not in front of the house. So we always kept our cars in the house. Unfortunately, well, in the garage. Unfortunately, in this case, the garage's size is just not enough for the size of the cars. It has a very weird L-shaped back that only allows up to 3-point-something meters on one side of the garage. So a small car would fit, but not an old RAV4 that I own right now. That's the practical reasoning why we requested this minor variance. And because we are going to look at it for the next 20 years, we are completely agreeing with the letter of opposition that we don't want to highlight the garage facade at all. Garages are usually not nice or not beautiful buildings. The request for up to 2 meters of this minor variance is because we agreed with our neighbors that that's the amount that we can maximize, that we can maximally ask for and still hide the house and the facade of the garage enough that it's not open to the public that much. Right now, a personal addition, I usually miss my own garage because I don't see it from the road when I enter. I have to, doesn't matter. It's personal opinions. In my personal opinion, it's not really visible from the road, and we want to keep it that way. The main risk that we identified is that because we want to keep a clear facade, our kids like to draw on the driveway. It is possible that you will see drawings on the driveway, which is not compliant with the rest of the neighborhood usually. I had one more item, but if you have any questions, I think it's better if we go on to that. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Greg. Do we have any public delegation?
Through you, Mr. Chair, there are no public delegations for this application.
Okay, thank you, Peter. Now this is open to the members of the committee. Have any questions, comments about this application? I see, seems none. For me, I don't have any questions, but for being consistent, if this application is going to be approved, I would like the second condition be modified to include shall, so that it reads that the owner shall be required to provide a tree protection fence and the rest the same. So that you know this is a requirement. It's not something you'd think that, oh, maybe it's not required, I'm not supposed to do it. But yeah, you are supposed to do this.
We love our trees.
Yeah.
That's one of the beauty of this area.
Yeah. So any discussion, anything from the members of committee? So I'm looking for a motion from one of the members about this application. One motion. I'm looking for a motion. Julian?
Okay, through you, Mr. Chair, I move to approve application MV-2023-18, subject to the conditions listed in Appendix A, with number 2 being modified to read that the owner shall be required.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a seconder for this motion? Michael? All in favor of the motion? The motion is carried. So thank you very much, Mr. Greg Zabo. Your application has been approved, and wish you a good night.
Thank you very much. Have a great night.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now going back to the two applications. So we have the two applications at the 53 Cranberry Lane. One is a consent application. The other one is a minor variance application. These applications are related to each other. Basically, the minor variance depends on the consent application. So we'll be reviewing them at the same time. So what I'll do is I'll read the applications. I'll start with the I'll start with the way it is. I'll start with the minor variance, then I'll finish with the consent, and then I'll ask Peter, the town staff, to provide some little bit of clarification about these applications, and then after that, I will ask the applicant and the agent if they are available to speak to this. And then I'll ask the public delegation, and then lastly, I'll have the committee members. And then when it comes to making a decision, again, as we have reviewed all together, we'll start with a consent application. To make a decision, we'll have a motion for that, and then we'll have a motion for the minor variance. So that will be the order. Now, this time I'll start reading the applications, and I'll start with the with the minor variance. So minor variance application MV-2023-14 at 53 Cranberry Lane. The application. The applicant is requesting relief from the requirements of the town's comprehensive zoning bylaw 6000-17 as amended to recognize an existing pool shed on the lands as a result of the proposed new lot line resulting from consent application C-2023-02, which has been applied for concurrently. The following relief is being requested. Section 7.2 of the zoning bylaw requires a minimum interior side yard setback of 1.2 meters. The existing pool shed is 0.0 meters to the newly proposed interior side property line as a result of the concurrent consent application C-2023-02. Planning comments. With regards to general intent and purpose of the official plan, staff are of the opinion that the variance meets the intent and purpose of the official plan. With respect to the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw, staff are of the opinion that the requested variance is in keeping with the intent of the zoning bylaw. With respect to whether the proposed variance is considered desirable for the appropriate development of the land, staff are of the opinion that the requested variance is desirable for the appropriate development of the land. With respect to whether the proposed variance is considered minor in nature, staff are of the opinion that the requested variance is minor in nature. Additional comments from town departments or divisions and external agencies, building division, no other non-compliance identified. With respect to the other departments and the external service and external agencies, no objections. For Leximco, didn't provide any, no commenting on application as it is located outside the area governed by Ontario Regulation 179/06 under the Conservation Authority Act. Public correspondence, there are 23 letters of opposition. There are 2 conditions of approval if this application is approved. So that is the minor variance application. Now I'll read the consent application. So the second application is consent application C-2023-02 at 53 Cranberry Lane. The application. The purpose of the proposed consent application is to sever a portion of the property municipally known as 53 Cranberry Lane in order to create a new lot. As shown in Appendix B, the applicant is requesting provisional consent for the following. A, the proposed severed lands are identified as Part 1, Part 5, and Part 6 on the draft survey with an approximate total area of 550.6 square meters, which is the same as 0.13 acres, and lot frontage of 28 meters, which is the same as 92 feet. And also that the proposed retained lands are identified as Part 2, Part 3, Part 4 on the draft survey with an approximate total area of 939.4 square meters, which is the same as 0.23 acres, and lot frontage approximately 29 meters, which is the same as 95 feet. I just want to state that the related applications I've already mentioned, but just to also just confirm that the applicant has concurrently submitted a minor variance application MV-2023-14 to recognize the existing pool shed on 53 Cranberry Lane and its new setback abutting the proposed retaining lands. Planning comments. Staff have no concerns with the proposed consent application to create a new lot as proposed with respect to the dimension and shape of the proposed lots, conformity with the official plan, matters of provincial interest, and suitability of the land for the purpose in which it is to be divided. Additional comments from town departments, divisions, and external agencies. Building division, no other non-compliance identified. No objections or comments from engineering division, operations, Central Fire, York Region, Leximco. From operation services parks, there are mature trees on the property boundary or adjacent that may be impacted. Public correspondence, there are 22 letters of opposition. Staff are recommending 9 conditions should this application be approved. So this is the consent application. And as I said, these will be reviewed at the same time. Will be considered at the same time as they are related to each other. The minor variance is related to the severance application. Now, I would like to ask Peter if he could actually speak, provide maybe some clarity on these files, on these applications.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There's just something the town wants to clarify for the residents who are attending or watching the live stream today. It's specifically in regards to the 22 letters of opposition that the town has received and circulated to the Committee of Adjustment and the applicants. And as a number of these letters mentions a new development that is being proposed. In terms of the application before us today, we are only looking at the consent application to sever the one lot into 2 lots, and the minor variance application to allow for the 0.0 meters setback for the shed that's currently on the site. There are no new applications for any new development that has been submitted to the town at this time. The applicants also own the adjacent property at 59 Cranberry, in addition to the subject site at 53 Cranberry, which is currently where they live. However, the applicants, I'm sure they will look to further clarify that in their presentation. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Peter, much appreciated. So do we have the applicant or agent who wants to make a presentation or want to speak to this file, these applications? And just to remind you that you have maximum 5 minutes if you have to make a presentation or provide comments. The floor is yours. Thank you. And if you could identify yourself in terms of your name and also your address.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, just to jump in, the town has allowed for the applicants for 10 minutes just because they have 2 applications in at this time.
Yeah, okay, thank you very much. So thank you very much, Peter. So you have 10 minutes. Since you have got 2 applications, each application is 5 minutes. So the floor is yours.
Good evening, Mr. Chair. My name is Claudia Watts, and this is my husband, Brian Watts, and we live at 53 Cranberry Lane. To give you some background about us, I actually grew up in Aurora, and community housing just not far from here off of Wellington. And my husband and I have worked very hard to get to where we are and to be able to live on Cranberry Lane. And we are lucky enough to have a lot that is larger than most lots. We have two little boys, 1 and 4 years old, and now I am the professor of environmental sustainability at York University. We were happy to present our proposal here tonight, but we are disappointed to hear some of the rumors that are flying around about some of the proposal here and the misinformation, including a flyer actually being distributed with misinformation on it. So we're really excited to take the opportunity to clarify tonight our proposal and what it actually entails. So Peter, if you don't mind, please pulling up our presentation for Brian to explain further.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thanks, committee. I'll take us through a presentation that should clarify the proposal that we have in front of us tonight. You can go to the next slide, Peter. Thank you. So the first thing I'd like to cover is the overview of the subject lands that we're discussing this evening. 53 Cranberry Lane, which is where you can see our house is, as well as 59 Cranberry Lane, which is the L-shaped lot adjacent to 53 Cranberry. We acquired 59 Cranberry Lane from the developer in November of 2022. And adjacent to 59 Cranberry, you can see that there is a portion of town land next to that on the left-hand side. What's important to note is that 53 and 59 Cranberry Lane are both zoned R3, and we're not asking for any rezoning or any exceptions with regards to the consent to sever tonight. And the entire neighborhood is also zoned R3. Next slide, please, Peter. We wanted to further clarify a bit of the error that was sent out to the public in the notice, which you can see on the left-hand side of the screen here, which only highlighted 53 Cranberry Lane as the subject lands, when in fact, what should have been sent out to the public is what's shown on the right here, which is 53 plus 59 Cranberry Lane, which is a much larger lot and would be in compliance with the zoning requirements for the severance split that we're looking for. Next slide, please. This slide here shows the survey and the outline of the lot that we are looking to split. You can see that the lot is made up partially of 53 Cranberry Lane, as well as part of 59 Cranberry Lane. And on the right side of the screen, you can see where the retained lot would be, where our house, 53 Cranberry Lane, would continue to reside. Next slide. This is the street view looking back at the house and the property. So you can see on the left-hand side is the frontage of 53 Cranberry Lane. And then next to that on the right is 59 Cranberry Lane. And the important takeaway here is that 59 Cranberry Lane, as you can see, is unutilized or underutilized land. And a lot of the neighbors are unaware that we own 59 Cranberry Lane, and that was part of the proposed severance. To the far right, what you can see is the geranium development that has been ongoing directly adjacent to the proposed severance lot split that we're talking about tonight. Next slide. This is an aerial view, a satellite image of the proposed subject lands, which you can see in and around the red box. And what we wanted to highlight here was a couple things. First of all, that the similar lot sizes that are around the neighborhood to what we're proposing in terms of the lot split, and also the fact that there would be no adjoining neighbors to this proposed split land. You can see it would be an end lot with no direct neighbors sharing a property line to the left or to the rear. And you can also see, which we'll show in a better view in the next slide, parkland and green space directly across the street from the property, the subject lands that we're discussing. This also shows the new street construction, which you can see to the left of the property, that strip that's being developed, as well as to the rear of the property. We can go to the next slide, Peter. This is the view directly across from the subject land, which is a beautiful green space park that is currently being developed by Geranium. It's got 2 kilometers worth of trails, and as mentioned, it's directly across the street from 53 and 59 Cranberry Lane. So in terms of green space, there is plenty adjacent to the property that we're talking about this evening. Next slide. So what we wanted to do here was go over a lot of the oppositions that we had received from Peter and really provide our response. And I think it's important to note that a lot of them were due to the misinformation that had either been circulated due to a flyer that was going around the neighborhood or the slight error that was sent out in the notice to the public, just highlighting 53. So we'll go through these. First one is that the proposal asks for exception to R3 zoning requirements, which is incorrect. Lot 53 and 59 are already zoned R3, just like all the other homes in the neighborhood. And we're not asking for any exceptions to the zoning with regards to the consent to sever. The next one was that the lot is too small. And when you look at the total space between 53 and 59 Cranberry Lane together, it equals 0.368 acres. And the proposed severed lot would be 0.136 acres, which is well above the 0.114 acre minimum for R3 zoning. And as we saw, it's in line with the sizes of the lots that are already in the neighborhood. The next point is that the proposal was to build a 3-story house or any other style of house. And as you heard from Peter, this application is not a proposal to build anything. The next one was around loss of green space, which is not true. It's misinformation. The subject land at 59 Cranberry Lane is not public land. It is owned by Claudia and I, as you had seen previously. And as we showed on the prior slide, there's a large, beautiful park directly across the street with trails and green space. So there's plenty of that directly in the neighborhood. Next one was around dust and construction, which I admit that has been ongoing in the neighborhood due to the geranium development that's been ongoing and the construction from Highland Gate. And we don't think that, again, this is not any type of proposal for any type of development. And we think that that's immaterial to what we're discussing tonight. Elimination of trees. Yes, there are some trees that were planted on 59 Cranberry Lane. And this approval that we know from the town report would be conditional upon obtaining an arborist report. And most of the trees on 59 Cranberry Lane are very small in nature. They're not mature trees because they were just planted last year and could be relocated. And then the final one we have here is that the lot may become a rental unit home. But again, this application is not for any type of development or build, and there has been no consideration of rental units or any type of development whatsoever. Next slide, Peter. So to summarize the facts around this consent to sever application, we saw that it abides by all the zoning requirements for R3. There's no exceptions being requested, and that every other home in the neighborhood is also R3 zoned. The planning department from the city also supports this application, as we heard earlier, and both lots would fit into the town's criteria. It's not an application to build anything, as we mentioned, including any type of assumed homes that wouldn't comply with the town's requirements around height or size, etc. Each of the proposed lots would be in line with the lot sizes in the neighborhood. And this also does align with the provincial policy statement of underutilized lands, which was also in the report from the town. The town's engineering staff also confirmed that municipal services would be available to accommodate a new lot, which is also part of the requirement. We saw that it's a corner unit with no adjacent neighbors to the side or behind, no other shared property lines other than the existing property line that we have at 53 Cranberry Lane. And then the ongoing development by Geranium and Highland Gate will continue to go on for the foreseeable future. And we're not proposing any development, as we mentioned. And then the green space, which we showed in one of the prior slides with the great park with all the kilometers of trails that are available directly across the street from the subject lands. So that's our presentation for the severance to consent. Would you like us to go through our presentation for the minor variance as well at this time?
You have 1 minute. So maybe a summary.
Sure. So we can go very quickly here. Next slide. So really this shows the proposed lot line and the shed, which you can see, which is next to the lot line and also next to our pool. Next slide, please, Peter. And this shows why we chose the proposed lot line. There's an existing iron fence there, which we would use as the lot line. And we wanted to make sure that there was enough space for this proposed lot to abide by all the zoning requirements. Next slide. This is just another view from the grassy area looking back at the proposed lot line, and it would just be the corner of the shed that would be encroaching that setback regulation there. Next slide, please. And this is a close-up look, which shows retaining wall stone to the left, as well as our pool walkway, which is patio stone directly in front of it, which means that it's next to impossible to move this shed anywhere because of where it's situated. And it's a cedar shed, so it wouldn't be able to be moved easily without being torn down. Next slide. And then this is just a summary here. It complies with all minor standard variance applications according to the town. We talked about the structure being cedar and not prefabricated, not easy to move. There's no other space because you saw that there was a retaining wall and a pool walkway directly in front of interlock. And it's just the corner of the shed that would be close to that lot line. And I think this is the final slide here, that it's not viewable by the street or by any neighbors. Therefore, it doesn't have any impact on the neighborhood, which was also in the town's report. The structure's been here for many years, and it's very common in this neighborhood for neighbors that have pools to have pool sheds. And I think that's the end of our presentation here, and just some additional photos for reference.
Okay, I think you can stop now because I've already given you one additional minute. So anyways, thank you very much for your presentation, much appreciated. Do we have any public delegation? Peter?
Through you, Mr. Chair, there are no public delegations for this application.
Okay, thank you. So open this to the members of the committee for questions or comments on this application. Jane?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair, I have a question here. This draft of survey, this draft plan of survey shows a fence on here. And they call, I don't know, they don't call it a wrought iron fence, but I'm assuming that that's the existing fence there that is there now. And according to these photos that we got, it said that the division line is going to go along by the existing fence. So is the fence being moved, or is the division line being moved?
I can answer that question, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, yes, please. Go ahead.
Yes, so part of the fence line that's currently there would remain, and that's the south side of where the fence is. And what we would propose to do is move the rest of the fence to be perfectly aligned to the lot line.
Okay, thank you very much.
Any other questions from the committee members? Christopher?
Through you, Mr. Chair, to the applicants, have you considered moving your lot line over to have a proper setback?
I can take that one, Mr. Chair. Yes, we have considered it, but due to the zoning requirements for R3, we wanted to make sure that we could maximize the size of this new lot so it was in line with the size of the lots in the neighborhood. And because of the irregularity of the shape of the pie lot, we wanted to make sure that there was ample space for that lot.
So just to clarify, if you had moved it over, that would not comply? Like, are those calculations done?
We did have those calculations done. It still would comply, but it would make it much tighter for any type of potential future development down the road because of the irregularity of the lot size itself and the required setbacks for R3 zoning.
Christopher, you finished? You have more questions?
Not necessarily more questions, just I don't really understand that rationale. It doesn't quite make sense to me because you would just be applying for a minor variance on the other side to go closer to the setback. So it would not be decreasing your developable area.
I can also answer.
Okay,
that.
can you answer?
We honestly just thought it was a natural lot line. If you see, there's a natural division in our backyard between the pool area and the grassy area. So when we had looked at it, we weren't going to utilize it if it was going to be moved over. So thought we would stick to the one area where the iron fence already existed. The thing with this application is, you know, we're happy if the shed is the issue here. You know, we're happy to, you know, accept that a denial of the variance because
For the main purpose of our main goal would be to get the severance of the lot.
severance.
If the shed and the minor variance application is a sticking point there,
Yeah,
then
we're happy to.
that would be less of a priority for us.
Yeah, we could take down the shed and build something for our kids or something like that, if that's really the sticking point here. Yeah.
Let me just see, chime in here. Can you just clarify? I know you said something, but I didn't understand. Are you trying to say that you can leave the shed there and then move the property line, the proposed property line, to the limit that it doesn't affect the size of the severance lot? That's what you're saying, or you want the property line to be there, but you remove the shed? What are you trying to say?
Yeah, I can clarify. So if we need to remove the shed to keep the proposed property line where it is, that would be something we would be willing to do. Ideally, what we would like is to keep the property line where it is to maximize the size of that potential lot, as well as a natural division between the poolscape, the mulch area, and the grassy area. But if that is the main sticking point, then the shed is less important to us.
Okay, thank you for that. Michael?
Sorry. Through you, Mr. Chair. Question for the applicant. You mentioned at the beginning of your presentation that you purchased, I guess, part 6 from the developer, from.
So that was conveyed to us from Geranium, and that was completed in November of 2022. So from the developer, because
it was unusable land from the developer, so they conveyed it to us. And so now it's still unusable land for us, but combined with our current backyard, it actually creates a full other lot.
And that's what I needed clarity on, is that without that conveyance from the developer, you wouldn't have been able to do this, right?
Right.
And so I fully understand your situation. Now I do recognize that you just mentioned, because my sticking point, to be quite honest with you, is the shed. And to allow a 0 side yard setback for that shed, I've never seen it. I think that's beyond the 4 tests under the Planning Act. And it would set, in my opinion, a dangerous precedent to approve minor variance of that magnitude, because that's not minor, in my opinion, when you have it 0%, even though if it's a corner. And it would restrict, the future owner of that lot, or whether it's yourself or anyone else, as to what they can do with the newly created lot. So having said that, I don't have a problem with the consent, provided you're willing to move the shed and make it in compliance.
We can answer that.
Yeah,
Mr.
thank you,
Chair.
Mr. Chair. Definitely doable. We would be okay with that approach.
Okay, I can see Jane, you have a question or comment?
Through you, Mr. Chair, would the applicant consider moving the property line, the proposed property line from the back to the corner of the shed, 1.2 meters to the west, and then bend the line back up to the front. So he would have 1.2 meters at the corner of the shed. He wouldn't have to move the shed. And the proposed property line would have a small bend in it.
We can answer that, Mr. Chair.
Yes, go ahead.
I explained that.
Yes, yes, adjusting the property line to go around the corner to keep that setback.
Yeah, just keep it up to the corner of the shed, so you would comply, and then bend your property line back out to the front. So it would have a slight bend in it, but it would save you having to move the shed.
So it's our understanding that if we were to change the proposed property line, we would need to go through this process again. So we think it would actually be easier to eliminate or move the shed and have it be in compliance with the proposed property line that we've set forth.
And also,
Not necessarily. So it's something like I'm seeing different views from or questions from committee members. Not necessarily. So the good thing is also you have been very upfront and honest in terms of what you would do, what you could not do. So there are other things. So there are three motions which usually happens in the applications. You have got approval, you have got denial, and you have got deferral. Approval is approving what it is. It's approved. You are done. You are laughing. Denial, it means it has been rejected, and so on. The only thing you can do later on is maybe appeal it to the land tribunal, or deferred, whereby you recognize that okay, maybe you need. So in other words, we're not giving you a strict decision. Decision has not been made; it has been just postponed, whereby we give you opportunity to go ahead, consider what they say Jane was saying, that probably we move the property line a little bit, or also the other thing which I think it was Michael mentioning, somehow maybe you move, I think it is not Michael, I think it's Jane again maybe, or was it Christopher, whereby you move the property line, the proposed property line in such a way that you move a little bit such that it doesn't impact on the zoning of the severed land. Okay, so basically you move it a little bit, you are creating some space. I would hear from Michael, some space, a little bit of some space, not completely zero. Zero, it means there's no variance. it means there's nothing you have done. So you move a little bit such that you don't compromise on the severed land, but at least you've got some distance from the shade. So let's say, for example, you'd say, okay, I think this will be a good thing. Then depending upon the motion, there could be motion of deferment, deferral, then it will be deferred, look at it. This time it means we've not made a decision, you're coming back to say, okay, we've made these adjustments, and then the committee will look at that again. Okay?
I can share.
Brian, maybe Brian?
Yes.
Claudia, you are raising your hand. You wanted to say something?
Yeah, yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I think at this time, we were under the impression that this was a minor variance that wouldn't be a big deal. And I can understand that, from your perspective that it now is. And so I think we'd like to stick to the consent being the priority and keeping the property line as such. To be honest, I went out the other day and there's wasps in the shed, and we're not tied to it in any way. So I think if we stick to the consent and accept maybe a denial of the shed, we would be okay with that.
Okay, so I saw Jane, you wanted to, you are raising your hand. Jane, did you want to say anything? You wanted to say something before Claudia?
No.
I think he is sort of frozen.
Would they? Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Yes.
No, I'm just wondering if they did change the property line, would they have to pay another fee to come back to us?
That's a question to you, Brian and Claudia.
Yeah, I can take that, Mr.
My
Chair.
question is to the town, would they have to pay another fee? I guess would Peter know the answer to that question?
Oh, okay, you're asking the town. Okay, Peter and Rosanna, are you there? So can you frame your question again, Jane, so they can understand?
Peter,
Jane,
if-
can you ask your question again?
Yes, if they made a change on their drawing to the proposed property line and came back to the committee, would they have to pay another fee?
Through you, Mr. Chair, if they make a change to their proposal, they would have to pay another fee.
Oh, all right, thank you.
So maybe just to add another question for clarity, if you say there's a deferral, do they have to pay fees also? Or is only denial?
Mr. Chair, deferral in what way? In what?
So deferral in terms of, let's say so here Jane was talking about the property line. So for the consent, is it to deal with putting a property line, severing the land? So it means a consent application being rejected, being denied, as well as the minor variance being denied. The consent application as well as the minor being deferred, so that they can change the property, they can fix the property, and then come back. Will that they will also be required to pay fees if it's deferred?
Through you, Mr. Chair, if the committee is looking to defer the application, then on behalf of the applicants would not have to pay the fee.
Okay. So you have the answer there, Jane. Did you hear what Peter said, Jane?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, so basically, my understanding is when you're going to deferral, then when they're coming back, they don't have to pay fees. But if it's a denial, it will be, they're coming again as a new application, have to pay fees. So I'm seeing Hans, let me check with the member committee, Michael.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I think that the consent application, given what the owners have said about the shed, the prudent way to approach this is basically, and to be fair to everyone, I mean, they meet all the conditions of the consent. It's R3, the lot size is fine, everything is fine. If we deny the minor variance, but approve the consent on condition that the shed is moved, that would solve all the problems.
Yeah.
Yes.
In my opinion.
Yeah,
And
even the owner,
if
that's
that-
what they are saying.
Yeah. And I think that that's the prudent approach to this. I mean, unless other committee members have some other concerns that have not been raised yet.
So I've not heard from Julian. Any comments or questions?
No, I don't have any additional questions at this moment.
Okay. Christopher, any additional questions or comments?
I just was going to make the same point as Michael and expand that from what I heard from the applicants, it sounded as though pursuing the variance for the shed was no longer required from what we've heard from them.
Okay. Okay, so I had questions, but now I don't think they are really important because through this discussion, questions and so on, and somehow we're seeing what the applicant would wish to be happy about. I don't need to ask any more questions. I was going to ask questions about if moving a little bit, but that's okay. So in this case, any more discussion from the committee or anything? So we see what is happening here, and we see what direction that the applicant would be happy to have the consent. And from hearing from the members of committee, some of them seems the consent would be okay. And the owner is talking about the minor variance, that's not really a big deal, and heard from members of committee that maybe the money variance could be denied because it's like right away there's no any setback at all. It doesn't meet any of the tests. So in that case, we'll start. Maybe we can start NA. Since maybe I started reading the minor variance, we'll start voting. So we'll make a decision on individual. Okay, Christopher, you have something to say?
Through you, Mr. Chair, just a last minute clarification question on procedures here. Should we offer the applicant an opportunity to withdraw their request for a minor variance versus denying it, or does it not matter in terms of outcome?
Yes, so it's the three motions. It's the approval, denial, or deferral. So it's all up to the members of committee, whoever's coming up with the motion. Then you have maybe a seconder who second that, and we're going to vote. If they say you can't be seconder, there's no seconder of that motion, then the motion has failed. Then I'm going to ask for another motion. So whatever other motion will be, and then we'll vote on that motion. So that's how it is. Okay? You have a motion, and then you have a seconder if you are seconding that motion. If there's no seconder, then that motion has failed. Then I'll ask for another motion. And there are three motions: approval, denial, and deferral.
So through you, Mr. Chair, I would propose to move with denying MV 2023-14.
Okay, you are far ahead. I was going to ask. Okay, let's go. So you are starting with the minor variance, is it? Yeah. Okay. Then are we ready? Or sorry, before you do your motion, Christopher, Julian has something to say. So, okay, Julian.
Sorry, Christopher. So through you, Mr. Chair, just before we start the motions, I just wanted to ask the applicants if they have any last words to say to us.
Through you, Mr. Chair. No additional last words other than, we appreciate the time this evening and the consideration. And we would agree with the approach of denying the minor variance and hopefully having acceptance on the survey consent, the severance consent.
Thank you.
Okay. So again, so we'll start with the minor variance. Can I have a motion from one of the members?
Christopher already motioned.
Oh, Christopher, you are certainly okay. Can you start? Can you read the motion? Can you speak about the motion?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair, to repeat the earlier motion. I move to deny minor variance 2023-14.
Okay, do we have a seconder? Jane, all in favor for the motion? Motion is carried. So Brian and Claudia, the minor variance application has been denied. Now let's look at the consent application. Do we have a motion from the members? Michael?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I move that consent application MV 2023-14 be approved with the condition being that with the conditions as presented in the appendix, and also that the applicant has acknowledged that they would remove the shed from the lot line.
Okay, so sorry, I forgot. I had a comment which I would have mentioned regarding the conditions of approval. I was going to, just for consistency, I want to include if the word shall for conditions 3, 4, 5, and 9, so that the conditions read, for example, 3, that the owner shall provide the committee of adjustment and the rest. The similar number 4 to be the owner shall provide. The number 5, the owner shall be required to provide. And the number 9 will be the owner shall enter into a letter of understanding. So I just want the word shall be included in those ones so that it's clear that these are required. As we know, it has happened in some cases where the applicant has started giving the town staff problems that I don't think I was required to do these things. He thought maybe they were optional. So just to add to that motion, it's the same motion, nothing has changed, the same conditions, but just put a shall on those ones which I've mentioned, 3, 4, 5, and 9. So do we have a seconder for this motion? Jane, all in favor of the motion? The motion is carried. So thank you very much, the committee. And thank you, Brian and Cordia, for waiting all this long. And thank you for the discussion and for you also for your participation. So wish you the best and have a good night.
Good night.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, committee. Have a great night.
Thank you. Now, new business. Do we have any new business? Yes, Michael.
Sorry to bring this up, but one of the things that I think we had an earlier discussion on, I don't want to take too much more time. But in some of the recommendations for approval and conditions, there's some wording which kind of, a little bit bothers me, and maybe town staff can review this going forward at the next meeting. Maybe they can clarify for me. When they say that the variance only applies to the subject property in substantial conformity with the plans attached. That wording in substantial seems to me to, like contradict what we're approving as a committee. And basically, I don't, in my opinion, it should be in conformity with the plans, no other change, to the satisfaction of the director. When you say insubstantial, by definition, substantial means it doesn't have to be 100% of what the committee has approved. So maybe I'm just pointing that out. I don't know how other committee members look at that, but maybe staff can come back, and if that's, tradition in the town of Aurora, then I have to accept it, but, and so be it. But to me, the legal definition of substantial is not really, in conformity with what the Committee of Adjustment is set up to do, is to look at the 4 tests and make recommendations, make changes to some of the planning that's gone into it. The staff reporting is excellent, by the way, in Aurora, but I just have that question, they do a great job. The planning department is doing a great job from what I've seen. And, just a point of clarity with the use of that term in substantial conformity. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, so Rosanna, are you able to provide any response on that?
Yes, through the chair, we can look into it further. My understanding is to ensure that the plans that the committee sees conformity is also to ensure, should something structurally or something, a window has to be changed for whatever reason for code. That was my understanding, but I'll look into it further and bring that up to the management to review.
Any comments from members or any observation regarding what Michael has indicated, or anything from Peter?
Mr. Chair, there's nothing from me. Thank you.
Even for me, I don't think you have anything. So basically, Michael, we'll hear something from Rosanna. So Rosanna, do you think during the next meeting, or even before next meeting, if you have a chance to speak with the others there, or the director, and you could shoot us an email It doesn't have to be in the next committee meeting, anytime, just to have a look and maybe have a discussion, email, something like that. That's
Well,
okay?
Sorry for giving you more work to do, but it seems that I don't want to be a pain, but
Yeah. You know, to me, it shows people.
Yeah, sorry.
To me, it shows people are caring.
Yeah.
And I encourage comments. I encourage process improvements. You know, there's nothing wrong or bad or whatever. I think is come up with something, an opinion, and we discuss and review. By the end of the day, is the process improvement. We want things to be done appropriately, and that's what it is. So if you know, the town staff would look at this, and you never know, they may come up something which may even better. Sometimes you would wait till you have got a lawsuit or something, somebody from legal challenging. At least this time is the committee challenging, then it becomes a big issue. So we thank you for all those comments and encourage members to you know, provide comments, you know, or something, asking town staff to provide explanations on. Yeah.
I appreciate those comments, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Yeah. Anything from anybody, Jane or Julian, Christopher? I don't have anything myself.
Nothing additional from me. Thank you.
So should I ask for adjournment? Can I have a mover for adjournment?
I'll move, we adjourn.
Thank you. The meeting has been adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.